Turn the microphone on. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome here for your 8 a.m. update here on Francine. Been an interesting night to say watching this system. We're looking right now at the infrared imagery of our hurricane, and a couple things you're probably going to notice is it's a little bit elongated. That kind of gives you an idea of maybe a little bit of wind shear undergoing here when you see it kind of stretching out like that. Definitely looks like it's a little long. It looks like a little bit of an eye trying to form in there as well, right in there. And boy, the telestrator is being a little funky this morning. But generally, when you see it begin to elongate like that, it's usually an indication of some wind shear and also general direction of movement there. It has strengthened a little bit overnight, has gotten a little stronger, but I'm not anticipating this thing to get much stronger than what it currently is, to be honest with you. There's just some things going on in the atmosphere that I think it may max out and may actually possibly weaken a little bit before it makes landfall. But we got a few more hours to this. Looks like landfall will be coming in sometime between 6 and 8 o'clock here for tonight. Let's go ahead and take a look at the latest here from, let's look at the, let's turn this microphone down a little bit. I'm distorting a little bit. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the latest here from the National Hurricane Center. Let's look at the latest on Francine. So here is the latest as of the 8 o'clock coordinate, sitting at 27.5 north and 93.3 west, and continuing northeast at 12. So it's picked up a couple miles per hour, and the pressure has dropped to 976 millibars. So we definitely have seen a little bit of a change in that arena with that new update that's just now kind of come in there. So that is what we're seeing. So the pressure's falling a little bit. So that could indicate additional strength. I just don't know if that pressure is going to drop much further, just based off what that satellite signature is looking like here for the moment right now. So again, you're looking at that track that's going to take it into, it has shifted a little bit further east, but it's going to put New Orleans definitely on the right side of this storm, where they're going to see the worst conditions here of the system of this hurricane. So again, it's not the only one we're kind of watching here, as we've got a couple areas out there of disturbed weather that's going to have to be monitored and continue to be watched here from the storm. So we're watching those two different areas out there way out in the Atlantic. We may get Gordon in here in the next day or so. So again, I know it's been a little bit of a doldrum here for the hurricane activity for a while, but that is quickly coming to an end here. Obviously, with this hurricane moving in here right now. Let's go ahead and look at some radars. Let's talk about what we're expecting here and everything. Let's go through the whole rigmarole here. That's what you're here for. So let's take a look at that right now as we take a look at the current conditions here. Let me go back over to studio mode here, and let's take a look at that right here. Let's go back up here to the top. And let's look at the big picture here. So here's the radar right now as it stands currently, as we've got, obviously got that eye that's showing up there as it's getting close. It's a pretty wide circulation center on this, so it's not a real closed off eye. Not like what you would classically see with obviously a major hurricane with a nice tight concentric eye there. It's about 40 miles across on that. And the Hurricane aircraft are going out there right now, so we should get some additional updates here on whether it's continuing that trend. Now, remember yesterday it was at about 990 millibars, so it's down to 976, so it's definitely strengthened a little bit. It took some time to get going because it was fighting some some dry air that got intruded into the system yesterday. So that has been what it's going for. Let's look at the actual radar site itself. Let's go to Radar Omega here, and I will do some stuff over here as well, so you can kind of go in here and we do a little bit. So this is the coordinates again, sitting there at 90 miles per hour. Some of the wind gusts up to 115 there. That's the 8 o'clock advisory. They are taking this up to a Cat 2. They're bringing it up to 100 miles per hour. I'm not worried about that. That'll be later this afternoon. But I think as it's approaching the coast, once it gets up this way, I think it may begin to weaken here just a little bit to be a little bit of a problem. Hey, Leighton Farnell, good to see you there, Leighton. Good morning. Do I think it'll be a Cat 3? Again, as I'm suggesting here, I don't believe so, because when I see a system that's elongating like that, it's indication of some wind shear there, and there's also a lot of dry air there as well there, Leighton. But it's one of those things we just have to watch, because I'll tell you, when it comes to strength forecasting, when it comes to the hurricanes and stuff like that, we tend to underestimate it a little bit, but we've been kind of waffling back and forth just because it was so delayed yesterday. Yesterday it dropped it down to 90 miles per hour. Then they brought it back to 100 miles per hour for this morning on the forecast. 100 sounds reasonable on the top end, I think, but I don't think it's going to get all the way up to 115. 115 is your Category 3 hurricane, and I don't think we're going to see that there on that. Here, let me also show you this here, the national perspective here. This is open for anybody's got any questions, by the way, please, more than happy to do so. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Get all the bells and whistles. I do dailies every day, shorts every day, except when we're in it's wall to wall. But the only thing I want you to notice here on this image right here is the fact that we've got a couple things going on. You notice this yellow hue back in here. This is some dry air on the periphery of the system. Awfully close. So, you got to think of a tropical system almost like a big vacuum cleaner, okay? So it's going to kind of suck in some of the drier air into this as it's moving northward here. And there is, again, it's elongated, tells me that we got some upper winds here coating over the top. So between the wind shear and the proximity of that dry air, that might be a bit of an inhibitor for the storm. I saw the eye trying to form there for a couple of frames on the satellite imagery, and then it went away again because it just cannot quite clear it out. Again, think of the center of a hurricane like a big chimney. Brings all the air at the surface, brings it up through the top. So that is one of the things that'll be driving that from being a problem for this storm to currently develop. So again, when you look at the current watches and warnings, here's where we're currently looking. Again, you got all the hurricane warnings there along the coast, tropical storm warnings all for a lot of the interior going up into Mississippi. The pink area there, that's kind of your tropical storm watches there. Numerous flash flood watches. That's going to be watched closely. The things that we're going to be watching here at landfall, we got storm surge, obviously. That's going to be an issue. We're going to have tornadoes. We're going to have heavy rain. Those are the big things that we're going to be watching here for today, especially going into New Orleans and over toward Biloxi and areas like that. So you can take the live look there in New Orleans right now. Quiet for the moment. Just kind of wet skies around, wet thing around. And I also got a camera over into Biloxi. This is over near Biloxi, looking over that way as well. So I'm going to be monitoring these cameras here throughout the day and watching what's going on with this. Now, as far as the severe weather is concerned, let's talk about the severe weather aspect of this storm as it's going to be making landfall. Obviously, we've got that issue there with that slight risk for severe weather. The main risk for this is going to be the potential there for a few isolated tornadoes. That's going to be the big thing there. With that, you might see some of that come on in, and this will continue into tomorrow as well. So if you look at your day 2 outlook here as well, it shifts over into Mississippi, over into Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, and parts of Georgia going into tomorrow. So this is going in tomorrow, but for today, we're going to focus in here on today. The big threat here is going to be obviously the threat for tornadoes, water spouts, especially from Louisiana over to the Florida coast. And then as we look at your day 2 for tornadoes, that'll shift obviously where that yellow shifts. Those will be the areas there for possible isolated tornadoes here across Alabama, Florida, and into Georgia for tomorrow. So those are the two areas there concerned here. And not really, the big thing will also be, you'll have some gusty winds too as this thing makes landfall and going on through those areas. So that is the severe component of this. Obviously, we're talking about storm surge as well. So if you look at the storm surge map here, most of this is going to be along the Louisiana coast, anywhere from 5 to 10 feet in that red zone that you see there along the coast. Up toward the mouth of a Mississippi, upwards of 6 feet there, 4 to 7 there in the orange, and then of course it diminishes further away from the center of circulation, going over toward the Florida Panhandle, up a couple of feet over that way. So that's the storm surge part of that as well. So the temperatures, the waters have been pretty good here. With the water temperatures are sitting around 84, 85 degrees. It's a little bit cooler as it's heading down to the northern Gulf, not quite as warm as the southern Gulf, but still plenty warm to fuel and support this hurricane as it continues to move up here for today. Let's talk about some of the models in here, okay? Let's go ahead and switch over to that. We want to switch over to the model interactive here. And let's do a little bit of illustration here. We're going to talk about the latest model data here. This is a couple of the high resolution hurricane model data here, and this is the wind profile. Okay, so we're going to take this up to landfall, which is basically sitting right around 8 o'clock. Okay, So we're looking at, if I freeze it right there, this one here is showing, you're looking at 90-mile-per-hour winds sitting here on the east side here. This is where your strongest winds are going to be over on this side of the storm as this storm approaches the coast. So as it gets close, makes landfall there, again, you're looking at 8 o'clock, it's on shore. So between 5 and 8 o'clock is your landfall time here along the Louisiana coast from some very strong winds. And then this will move inland, okay? So this is going to move in across Louisiana and into Mississippi, and spread some pretty good winds here for the interior sections. And those 50-mile-per-hour winds there in the orange across Alabama and Mississippi. So power outages are going to be sporadic. They'll be around throughout the day, and then you see some pretty gusty winds there for the interior continuing into Thursday. This model is still coming in. It's the 6Z run, so it's the brand new latest model data coming in here on that one. Let's compare it to another one here. Let's look at another one. We'll look at this one. This is the B model here. This one's a little more robust with this one, at least with the winds on the interior here. And you can see it kind of moving on here, and it moves inland. I'm sorry, the other one was robust. I got them backward, my bad. But you see this one, what it does appear, it's at its peak right about there, and then as it gets to the coastline, it starts to weaken a bit. So that's been kind of the trend with this, to see if we're going to continue to see the slight weakening as it's making landfall because of the wind shear and stuff that's going on there. So again, that's the time frame between 5 and 8 o'clock as we watch this thing kind of come on in. This is the European model again. Has it at 972 millibars there, 973. So it's pretty 976 right now. So the storm's going to kind of hold its own if the European holds true. And this thing's going to swing up in through Mississippi throughout the day. And then, of course, that'll bring some heavy rains and stuff here along the Gulf Coast. Here's the wider perspective again here as this thing is moving on up. And then we're going to be watching this quadrant here, obviously, for potential water spouts on the right and tornadoes coming on shore and moving inland along that area there. That is going to be the hot zone for potential severe weather. And then this thing's going to kind of meander here a little bit and notice some pretty hefty rains here. Alabama's been under drought, so they definitely can use the rainfall. They're going to be getting that pretty well here. And some of that rain will go into Georgia going in toward Friday. So Thursday and Friday, very wet and damp here across the southeast. One thing I do want to highlight here is the fact that, guess what? This thing is going to actually, may actually, with the old boundary in place, actually spin up something here along the Atlantic coast going in early next week. Now, whether this is a tropical storm or depression, it quickly moves on inland, but that'll need to be watched for next week to see if that comes to fruition. But anyway, again, the main threat here obviously is going to be Francine as it moves inland here. At least it's moving. The rainfall amounts are going to be pretty good heavy, and I'll show you that here in a second. But for the area where the rains train the most, where the spiral bands are moving north-south and moving over the same ground, so you get some isolated areas that may get even heavier rains than that. So here's the rainfall estimates here on this one. Again, as it's moving on inland here. This is the overnight model here. So you're looking at a pretty good steady, anywhere from 3 to 5 inches here showing up on this. And again, when it comes to tropical rains, they tend to underestimate that just a little bit here as this moves on in. But again, some of the localized areas could be higher, 6, 7, 8 inches of rain, depending on where these things set up. And then, of course, then you see that other surge of moisture here coming off the Atlantic coast if we get that out of the system. But everybody in the southeast, boys, is going to get in the soup with some pretty good rains covering a lot of areas and some areas that desperately need because of the drought conditions. Let's talk about the tornado threat. I wanted to talk about that. Again, it's always the right side of that center circulation. It's where that greatest spin is taking place there. This is the tornado parameter, okay, on the high resolution model here. And watching this going up in here toward tonight, you see that reds and stuff. So we're seeing it increasing right along the Louisiana coast. So right in here, as we look in here toward 8 o'clock, that's when we probably are going to see some sort of tornado watch up at that time. We'll look for individual tornadoes that are going to spin up at that time. So if you're along the Gulf Coast, just make sure you stay weather aware and ready for that as that moves on in. And then as it moves to the overnight hours, which is always scary when you talk about the overnight hours, you may get some isolated tornadoes there, like, for example, into Mobile, into Pensacola, over toward Fort Walton Beach. So again, none of these will be, big tornadoes here. We're talking about small, but they can still do some damage if they get over your house, that's for sure. And then this begins to shift over into east central Alabama and down across the panhandle as we go throughout the day on Thursday. So again, you saw the marginal risk there shifting over into Alabama or the slight risk going into Alabama and parts of Georgia, Florida panhandle for Thursday. So the tornado risk will be running there for a couple of days, but it's at its highest at landfall here along the coast going in here through the overnight hours. So the folks there need to be careful on the Gulf Coast for this hurricane as it's making landfall. Hey, I'm seeing we got a lot of folks here starting to join the chat right now. If you happen to have any questions on this storm, if you want to talk about, again, we're doing the latest here on Francine, Hurricane Francine. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please consider doing so. It'll be an honor and a pleasure to be one of your sources here in the YouTube universe. I know every weather geek under the sun is going to be broadcasting today. I'm sure they're all going to be doing it. So, and yours truly likes to do this. I've worked very hard on putting this product together and over the past year, and I finally got a product here that I kind of like. So, definitely looking pretty solid here. So again, here. Oh, good morning, Stay Away RT. Good to see you there. And that's another thing I like. I can actually bring up everybody's questions too. So if you're just kind of joining, if you got a question, if you got any concerns, please post a question down below. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions there. All right, let's go ahead and talk about, again, what we're seeing here. I want to go back to the satellite imagery here, going back to the big picture. And this here is the water vapor imagery here on the satellite imagery. And you're seeing all that yellow in there. That, my friends, is dry air. Dry air is obviously a bad friend to tropical stuff. We've seen that all hurricane season along with the Saharan dust layer out in the Atlantic. That's been a problem. So I'm also seeing a system that is a little elongated. If you're looking at that dark green in there, you're noticing that we got a system that's pretty stretched out. So it tells me you probably got a little bit of wind shear going on there. Wind shear is also a bad thing. Dry air, wind shear. So the storm is going to do two things. It may strengthen slightly, but I'm not anticipating this to strengthen into some sort of a Cat 3. I'm not seeing that unless the conditions change. I see too many things close by to inhibit that development there. Now, if you look at the loop here, you look at it was trying there for a second to try to perhaps develop an eye right in here. But it never cleared out. So we're on the infrared imagery. We'll switch over to the visible as the sun is coming up. We'll be able to see it a little bit better there. We'll see if that is starting to clear out at all. That's going to be one of the indications there. If I start seeing the eye start to clear out, that'll be an indicator. If the pressure starts to drop substantially, and it's been dropping steadily, it's sitting at 976 right now. If it starts to drop off, those two indications will be an indicator of whether it's going to be strengthening a lot more. Based off satellite imagery and what I'm seeing on both things, I think it's either going to hold its own, strengthen lightly. Officially, the National Hurricane Center says it's going to be a Category 2. So we're talking about 100-mile-per-hour winds here at landfall coming on here for today. Hey, old school, good to see you there, brother. Happy morning, all. Good morning to you. Hey, and if you are new to the chat and you want to go ahead and post your name and tell me where you're from, or tell me where you're watching from here for this morning. I do appreciate you guys, and please give me thumbs up. Helps me when I do these algorithm things in the morning. It's a big help there. All right, so let's go back here to the regional radar here. Again, we're looking at the Gulf Coast here. And let me go to my interactive mode here on this so I can move this around just a little bit. Let me move this over here so I can kind of go in here a little bit closer. So this is kind of the regional perspective, which kind of takes the multiple next rads and kind of put them all together so you can kind of see that center of circulation. And boy, you got a pretty wide one there that's going. It's about 40 miles across. So again, if it was to tighten up a little bit, think of almost like a skater. You know how a skater bring their arms in, they spin faster and faster and faster. If that eye was to start tightening up, that would also be another indication of a storm system that is strengthening a bit there. So we'll watch that closely as it interacting with that old boundary that's in there. It was so interesting yesterday. It looked like we had two different systems yesterday as part of it kind of broke off as Francine was trying to get itself a little bit better organized there for tomorrow. So again, for today, I should say. So Radar Omega here is my preferred tool, by the way. And if you're familiar with Radar Omega, it's a very great app to have on your phone. It is a paid service, but there are different levels you can pay for if you like, but it's a very, very good tool here. This storm went right by this buoy over here. Let's see what this buoy was showing here. It looks like that's old data. That's not, well, it says the 11th. It said no wind. It actually, last data at 7:40, which was near the eye, showed a wind at 9 miles per hour. So that tells you that it was pretty close to that center of circulation there. air temperature sitting at 80 degrees there as that went on by there. So it might still be kind of catching the tail end of that eye just a little bit. We'll see what these other buoys up here are doing. A lot of the buoys here, as you see, are red. They've been taken out by hurricanes over time, and they just have never been replaced, which is kind of stinks a little bit. So, hey, good morning there. Viral videos. Way east of tracks. Well, hope you're away from the tracks there, viral videos. But good morning to you. Yeah, hopefully they will stay away from there. But all these buoys out here, you see all these red ones out here, they're just not operational. You got a handful out here that are. They see 27-mile-per-hour winds here. Looking at these buoys way over here. Here's 40-mile-per-hour winds. Wow, that's tropical storm forward gust winds. That's a pretty good distance there from the center of circulation. How far is that? Just for kicks and giggles here. That's about, that's a pretty good distance. That's 150 miles from the center of circulation. So you're getting some tropical storm force winds there, 150 miles from the center. So that's pretty interesting to see. How about this buoy here? What's this one reporting here? 40-mile-per-hour winds there as well. So, and that one, 70. Wow, there's one right there. 72-mile-per-hour wind. See that one? There you go. Air temperature 82 degrees. So 72-mile-per-hour gusts on that buoy right there. And I can recognize it. So we're talking about this right here. Here's your center of circulation there. So we got 72-mile-per-hour wind sitting on that buoy right there being reported right now. So that's interesting to see that. Well, I wish we had more buoys to the north, but they've been taken out, unfortunately. Kind of stinks. Like and hit subscribe, y'all can too. Hey, thank you for the plug there, viral videos. I appreciate it, man. I need all the support I can get. I'm a small channel, so I don't have the hundreds of thousands or the millions like the Godfather's got, so I need all the help I can get to help grow this channel. That is for sure. We're going to be doing an hour here this morning as we continue to do these updates. I know folks are kind of coming in and coming out here on the channel. So again, let me rephrase here. When I look back here at the latest here on Francine, again, it's sitting at 27.5 north and 93.3 west. There is a Hurricane Hunter aircraft that's in the air, going to be heading out there here for this morning, and we'll see if that pressure makes any more additional falls here. In the next update from the Hurricane Center will be 10 o'clock Central and 11 o'clock Eastern time. That's when we'll get our next big update. But I'll continue to watch those, what they call vortex messages. What happens is the Hurricane Hunter aircraft, they drop the devices drop sounds into the storms, and they send back what's called a vortex message, and that gives us all our data, gives us all the parameters of what's going on in the eye of this center of the storm. Doesn't really have a true eye wall. As this system gets closer to the radars, obviously we'll be able to see this a little bit better here over time. So as you look at the radar here, and we'll see this a little bit here. And let me switch. I want to switch microphones here real quick. I should have done that before I started, but we'll go ahead and do that. Let me grab my other microphone here. I'm gonna switch mics. Stand by here for a second. I'm gonna pause this one out. There we go. And I'm going to go over here to the wall here. So just give me a second here. This is one thing I love about my new setup here is I can go over here to the wall and talk a little bit. So again, we got our center circulate. It was this buoy right here that had 72, 73-mile-per-hour winds. It's still fairly large here. Now, as this thing gets closer to the coastline, gets closer to the radars, we should get a better signature here. It'll be improving throughout the afternoon. Seeing a pretty good bright banding here, get there, but we don't have a true eye wall that's closed off all the way around that the radar can see all the way. You know, the beam is coming down from up near Houston right here. I'm using that radar right there. So as this gets closer, I'll switch over to the Louisiana radar, but this is where that center of circulation, as it's going over water temperature. Now, by the time it gets up to here, that's where they're anticipating it to be up to a Cat 2 as we head into this afternoon. So that'll be 100-mile-per-hour winds. And then it'll be, it either holds its own or it weakens a little bit. I just don't think it's going to get much stronger than what we're currently seeing out there because of those inhibitors, as I was mentioning earlier, being a problem. Hey, good morning there, Rita. How are you? Rita Early, how you doing? Yeah, West Georgia going to get some rain there, and I got to fix this on my next broadcast. I got to make sure I can consolidate the view on that, but I will do that on between broadcasts here for today. So let's talk about let's look at it. Let's talk about the wind, the waters out there. I got this new feature. I wasn't able to use it last night because my system actually, when I was doing my broadcast last night, it was very aggravating. It decided to do a Windows update. I didn't see it because it was up underneath all my stuff, and it shut down right in the middle of me. And I was like, oh man, I was so upset. I was so mad at that. I was like, man, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me here. I don't see. Yeah, there it goes. There it is right there. So let's go here. I want to show this off to you guys real quick. Let's look at what they call the waves and the temperatures. I'm testing this new feature out here to see if I like this or not. So let me make sure this has got the latest and greatest data. We'll reload this thing up. Here we go. So let's talk about the wave heights here. Again, I'm sure we got some pretty good waves here as this thing is moving on up here. So let's bring this up. So you see that thing coming up here as it gets to close to the coast. When it's at its strongest here, you're looking at wave heights in here upwards of 27 feet. Boy, that'll be rocking your world pretty good there as it's coming through. Old school. How far inland will storm surge be? Family from the beach area Earth. I think you'll be okay. Again, this is going to go into that marshland there across the Louisiana area. But if you're in any flood-prone areas there, old school, make sure that they are heating this. All right. So as this thing moves on in, you notice it makes landfall and all the waves kind of shuffle off this way. So there'll be some very high surf there across Biloxi, going over toward the Gulf Coast there. Still looking at some pretty good wave heights, even over here up to 9 feet offshore of Pensacola Beach. So rip currents will be a big problem there along the coast. Rita, I'm doing fine. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. I appreciate you checking back in here for this morning. Now, doing pretty well. This is that. And then also I can look at the sea surface temperatures here. Notice here inland it's sitting 82 degrees there, but most of this is sitting at 84 degree water temperatures. That's moving forward. Down here in the Bay of Campeche, it was 87, so it was very, very warm down here. I was a little concerned about it doing some explosive growth down there, but it was fighting some of that dry air yesterday, which was great. So 85, 85, 85, 84. So 84 to 85 degree water temperature is plenty warm. Again, for tropical systems, we're talking 80 degrees or higher here for a storm to develop. So obviously, the warmer the water, the higher the stronger the storm could potentially be there for that system there. So this has been it's going to be an interesting long day. I got to get some snacks. I got to get some drinks. I got to get some stuff, especially as we get closer to landfall here later today, to say the least. But right now, this is the latest on this. It's updated 12/16. That radar is about 10 minutes old, so we should be getting satellite imagery. Should be getting a new image here in about any minute, but definitely a little elongated. Oh, you were looking at the track wrong. That's okay. That's all right. No problem, brother. No problem. Yeah, I got my alerts up too, so my subscriber alerts and everything should be coming through in here as well. So very grateful for that. I've got this. I'll show you what I did here. I added so this right here. When anybody subscribes, hey, there you go. So I moved into the corners of all my graphics. So if anybody subscribes to the video, I get the alert and can acknowledge them and say thank you. So I kind of made sure I had that there. Although it doesn't work half the time. Some people subscribe and it doesn't show up. I think it depends on what device you're using. So I use a service. It's called Streamlabs. That allows us to kind of simulcast. I am simulcasting here on Facebook as well. So you guys on the Facebook side should be able to make comments and stuff there as well. As we got a few folks watching over there on the Facebook side right now for this morning. So anyway, that is your update for now, guys. Looking at the time, it's 8:30 right now. I wanted to be on here for just about 30 minutes kind of going through it. Let me recap again everything that's going on right now. So again, this is the latest here on the system. Again, expecting that landfall here late this afternoon, coming into around 5. I will do another live update broadcast here probably about 11 o'clock this morning when the new advisory comes out at 11 o'clock. We'll do another half-hour update. And then later this afternoon, as we get closer to landfall, we start getting some things deteriorating into the early afternoon. We'll start doing our live wall-to-wall coverage at that time. And it's going to be a small audience, and that's okay. Understand that. Again, it's been very hard for the with everything that's going on with this hurricane season. It's so quiet for so long. We're at the heart. Every YouTuber that's got a channel is going to be doing their live broadcasts. And since we have such a small audience here, we're just not going to get that. But everybody that does watch, I'll be able to give you, answer all your questions every step of the way as we watch this thing make landfall. All right, that is your 8 o'clock update here for this morning. You guys take it easy. We'll see you a little bit later at 11 o'clock for that next update. Till then, y'all be good, stay safe, and we'll see you a little bit later. Bye, guys.